All right. So my first question is, could you just talk a bit about what it's like being a WWE producer?
It's an incredible opportunity. I mean, I feel, there's only, 12 or 13 of those positions in the world for the biggest and the best wrestling company in the world. And I'm one of those guys, I'm one of those people right now. And it's an incredible journey, an incredible process. The minds that I get to be around every single week. I mentioned them before, from Triple H, to Michael Hayes and Bruce Pritchard and Ed Koskey and John Beckstrom and just my fellow producers, the TJ Wilsons, the Adam Pierces, the Jamie Nobles, the list goes on and on. It's such a incredible team. I feel like we're a great unit. We all work together to help each other, and it's just a great collaborative process, and working with the talent, as the liaison between creative and the talent, and helping them to craft, whatever they're doing, whether it's a promo or a match or whatever, and to bring it to life and to see things come to life. It's such an incredible experience. I said this earlier, but to me, it's the same feeling I had when I went out, back when I wrestled and I went out and had a great match. I have that same feeling now when I'm working with talent and producing. So, it's a challenging job. I like to say every week's a different adventure. The job is never the same 2 days in a row. And that's pretty unique. Most people have their job and they go to work and it's the same thing and every day. And at WWE and as a producer, every day is a different challenge. And it's so exciting, and it's so rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. That must be super exciting. How does it feel as a longtime TNA talent to see the relationship with the WWE change so dramatically as of late?
It's great. I can't tell you how happy it makes me. Everyone knows I spent my entire career at TNA, and back when I was there, it was never even an option that WWE and TNA would work together one day. That wasn't on the table. That wasn't in the cards. That wasn't even in the stratosphere anywhere. But to see that become a reality, I think it's a credit to the wrestling industry. It's a credit to WWE and TNA, to work together, to have a collaboration. I think it's gone incredibly well. I think it's benefited all parties involved. I think the biggest party that it's served is the fans. The fans, the audience now gets to enjoy the crossover between the two companies, and I think that's just incredible. That's something that again was a pipe dream years ago. Now it's become a reality, and it's. I think it's just a fantastic thing for everybody, for both companies and number one, the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And so extending that a little bit, sort of what was the story of you being part of this DLC for WWE 2K25?
Well, it was an opportunity that was presented, I think last summer, and both companies kind of came together and started collaborating. And one of the things that came up was including me in the video game. TNA was, blessed the deal and was totally on board with it. WWE wanted to do it, so they presented it to me, and I couldn't believe it at first. I was shocked, to say the least, humbled, to say the least, thrilled. To see it come to life, and now to see it actually happening with the release of it. I believe it's today. That pack releases today or tomorrow. It's just a great thing for me, a great thing, I think, for the fans to be able to do their dream matches now, and so I'm thrilled.
Was there a particularly memorable moment about being part of this DLC or getting scanned or anything alongside the production of it?
Um, the whole thing, just visiting with some of the 2K25 folks that I was able to talk to at some of the PLEs over the last year, just to feel the process. And you mentioned the scan. it had been years since I'd been scanned for anything. So I got to sit in that room and, with the 100 cameras around me and taking the videos and everything. And it kind of brought me back down memory lane, from when I was, active as a wrestler. So um, you know, it, it rejuvenated my youth and brought me back to yesteryear in a lot of ways. It was a really, really, really fun process.
Awesome. What's the weirdest part about seeing yourself as like a playable character in a video game? Does it feel weird? You're like, oh, that's me. I'm here in this game.
It's not weird at all. Like I said, the only thing that comes to mind is thrilling. It comes to
Hmm.
the one thing that does blow me away, and I mentioned this in some of the other interviews, is just the detail, the technology, the folks at 2K25. Just brilliant people. And just when I watch it, I don't even feel like I'm watching a video. I feel like I'm watching a actual footage of a monster, of the monster abyss. And they nailed everything, from the way I move to the way I walk to the way I get in the ring to the tattoos and the scars and the build and the mask and the hair. I mean, it just incredible what they were able to do, and what they do. Those guys are experts, and it shows. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's really cool that they can bring all of these characters to life and
Absolutely.
bigger than before.
Bigger,
Uh,
yeah.
would you rather play as yourself or wrestle against Abyss as someone else?
Probably both. I'm I don't know. That's a really interesting question. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I have some bucket list ones I'm going to try out and stuff, but it may be cool outside the box for me to play as AJ Styles versus Abyss, see how I fare against myself. But yeah, yeah, there's the opportunities are endless where we can go with this thing. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah. And then following up on that a little bit, do you have any dream matches you'd like to see against a superstar or a legend? Anyone that you maybe didn't get in your career that you're like, oh, I could do this match in the game now.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. I mentioned in some of the other interviews, but Undertaker certainly pops up. There's Kane, who I never worked with in my career as well. Mick Foley, who I did have an opportunity to work with at TNA. But there's literally hundreds of others. And when I sit down and hunker down into the 2K25 and play the game, I'm gonna try to knock as many of those off my bucket list as I can.
Yeah. How excited are you for maybe a new generation to learn about Abyss through this game?
That's a great question. That's a great statement too, and that's a lot of fans, or especially younger fans, that may not know the history of Abyss, or my lineage and my career. Now get to experience it, play the character. If they're interested enough, you can get on YouTube and Google everything and YouTube everything, and actually see the matches and so forth, and some of the history of Abyss. So I think it's a great thing that for the diehards that followed me my whole career to this day, so supportive. I think it's special for them, but for the folks that maybe caught the tail end of my career, or the younger generation who didn't see much of this, this exposes them to that. And I think that opens a lot of doors for a lot of people to see, the body of work of the career I had.